Hi, Steve Conrad here with Fit Culture Studio. Today I want to talk to you a little bit about foam rolling, what it is, why it's important, and how to do it properly. So foam rolling, if you've never been introduced to it before, you're not familiar with it, is a form of self-massage. It's used to help break up what's called the fascial tissue, which is going to help improve your mobility, flexibility, and overall wellness of the muscles, eventually helping prevent joint injury as well. Now, what fascial tissue is, if you're not familiar with that, is it's a tissue that encases all of your muscles. It helps stabilize your movements, and it helps coordinate movements between different chains of muscles. So if you do certain movements all the time or repetitively, like throwing a ball, running, or even sedentary movements like sitting at a chair, your body learns to pattern itself into those positions. So the fascial tissue will help support the movements that you do every day, and it'll also help restrict you from doing movements that you don't typically do. Fascia is somewhat like taffy in that the more you use it and the more you stretch it, massage it, and work with it, the more flexible and elastic it is. But if you let it sit, you don't do anything with it, it tends to harden and become much less mobile. Now what this can do over time is lead to joint injuries and inflexibilities and immobilities that some of you may have. So, how to do foam rolling properly and why it's important, especially if you exercise, is to loosen up that fascial tissue, especially before you get into any type of movement. Now, by applying the foam roller properly on the muscles, it can help break up some of that scar tissue that's formed, improving your mobility, reducing your risk of injury, and when you get into movements like weightlifting or cardio, running, biking, it helps really increase your range of motion and prevent injury during that exercise because the joints and the muscles are a little bit more elastic now. They've been worked a little bit deeper. So how to do it properly, before you start your exercise is the most optimal time to do foam rolling. You're going to want to hit each muscle group for about 10 to 15 seconds, and you're also going to want to make sure you hit the entire length of the muscle on both the in and outside of the muscle as well. So we'll start at the calf, work our way up the body. To do the calf, place the foam roller right under the ankle, lift yourself up with your hands, and roll the leg out and back. Just about 4 inches, you don't need to hit the whole length of the calf all at once. Now if you need to add additional pressure, you can wrap this foot on top of the other and help use it to push down and apply additional pressure onto that muscle. If you find an area that's relatively tight or feels a little sore, you probably want to work into that muscle a little bit more because that means there's some restriction or some fascial scar tissue built up in that area. It's important to hit all sides of the muscle as well. So on the calf, for example, you'll want to point the toe out a little, get the outside of that calf, point the toe in, get the inside of the calf, and then go straight down and back down the middle as well. Do each leg for about 15 seconds before moving on to the next muscle group. Once you finish rolling out the calves, you'll move up to the hamstring, placing it right above the knee, lifting yourself similarly, and rolling forward and back. Be sure to point the toe out and in to get both sides of that muscle, and work it for about 10 to 15 seconds. Or if it is really sore, you can work it for up to 30 or more seconds. And be sure to get both sides. After you hit the calves and the hamstrings, you're going to move up to the glutes. For this, we're going to move up and sit on top of the foam roller. Take the leg you want to work on first, place the heel right behind the opposite knee, giving you a little bit of a glute stretch, and then rolling forward and back, real short range of motion, only a few inches, and really loosening up that glute. And the same on the other side. Be sure you're hitting the back of the glute as well as the side by dipping the knee down and getting the side of that hip. From here, we'll shift over and go on to our quads. To do the quads, you're going to want to go onto your forearms, similar to a plank position, and place that foam roller right above the knee. Use your arms to move yourself back and forward, and for additional pressure, you can wrap that other foot behind your leg and use the weight of that leg to help massage. Be sure to get the outside on the IT band, as well as dropping the hip in and getting the inside of that adductor and groin. This, for a lot of people, is extremely tight. And if you have knee pain, a lot of the times runner's knee or just knee pain that develops over time is often tight muscles both on that adductor and that quad. So foam rolling for a lot of people can help resolve some knee pain that you may have accumulated over time. And be sure to go on and do both legs once you finish with that one. Next, we're going to do the upper back. This is really good to help with postural correction. A lot of the times, especially if you drive a lot or you sit at a desk, you'll notice you may start hunching forward and really sitting in this lean forward position a lot. What that's going to do, as I explained with the taffy analogy, is you sit more and more and more frequently in that position. This area, which tends to be tightened forward, will harden similar to that taffy and start getting some restrictions, which makes it harder and harder to open up the chest. On the other side, you've got your back, which has been pulled tight, and will start to do the exact same thing. It'll harden, circulation will decrease, and it'll be harder to engage those muscles and open the back up. So using the foam roller can help massage some of that fascial tissue that's stretched on the back or that has gotten tightened on the front, and loosen it up so that when you go into some exercises, you're able to get a better range of motion and start working to correct those movement compensations or limitations you may have developed. So for the back, you don't really want to roll too much directly on the low back because you're going to put too much pressure on those vertebrae. So with that, if you decide to do the low back, put very little pressure on it and really be supported with the legs and the arm to only lightly massage that area. Never put your full body weight on the center of that back. So going right from the lower hip right up to about midway up the rib cage, being sure you're very supported. And do the same on the other side. For the upper back, place it right underneath those shoulder blades. Arms can be either behind your head like so, or across your body, and just roll from the base of the neck down to the bottom of the shoulder blades, up and back. Really loosening up that upper back. To loosen up the front of the chest, you'll actually want to go up to a wall and place this up against the wall and roll it against your chest using your body shifting back and forth and leaning into the wall to loosen up that shoulder joint and chest joint. You can do it on the ground as well, but it's a little bit more difficult, especially if you don't have the strength to hold yourself in a plank or push-up position and really move around with it. But I'll show you how to do it in case you want to give it a try. Place the foam roller at a slight angle so that you can put your shoulder on it and slide forward and back, down right above the shoulder, center of the pec, and back. And the same with the other side. Otherwise, as I mentioned, you can place it on the wall and do the exact same movement back and forth to loosen that area up. So that's the basics of foam rolling. As I mentioned, it's very important for you to do before exercise because as you do weightlifting, as you do movements, as you do different classes, you're going to be doing a lot of things that are new to you and that your body isn't used to. The fascia may not be comfortable or used to supporting movement in that way, and it may either restrict your movement or limit your movement in terms of range of motion, depth, or even strength because it's not used to recruiting muscles in that way. So roll it out, get it broken up, give it a chance to get some of that circulation and mobility back, and then go into your exercises. You'll get much more out of your exercise in terms of range of motion and ability, and you're also much less likely to get injured. So until next time, that's foam rolling. Hope to see you again soon.